Meanwhile, in a dead end far, far away. You're fired. Welcome back to Dead End Restorations, where I battle...
Sure you do that from now on, that would be great.
...by day and restore fine classic BMWs by night. This is Project E34, the 1995 530i with a 5-speed manual. This is part 4 of Project E34. In this episode, what I'm going to be doing is compression testing the engine, because the M60 is known to self-destruct and eat itself with sulfur-rich fuel. Then I'm going to fix the factory-installed leaking valve cover gaskets and tackle BMW's infamously ball-busting leaking power steering system. Today's episode is going to be a little bit special because today's a tribute to Mr. Sreten of M539Restorations in Frankfurt. Sreten is a hometown brother from another mother of mine, and I owe this channel and a lot of the work that I'm doing to him, to his inspiration, and he's inspired, thousands of people across the world with the work that he does. So this goes out to you, my friend. Živeli. So now that I've warmed up, grab yourself a drink and let's party. Okay, so the first thing you want to do, get the motor nice and toasty. Next, we want to take out this fuse cover so that we can take off the fuel pump fuse when we're cranking over the engine. This is going to stop the fuel pump from firing when we're cranking over the engine to test for compression. So here's the final readings. I gotta admit the engine was a little bit cold by the time I pulled the plugs on all of them because it was cold in the garage, but very acceptable. The manual says no lower than 145 psi, and here it's important to just note the variance between the cylinders, which is acceptable at around 10 psi, although not ideal. Overall, though, I was pretty satisfied with the results. I then stuck my cheap endoscope iPhone camera into the cylinders that had the lowest compression to check for cylinder scoring, and unsurprisingly, I didn't find much other than the usual carbon buildup on the cylinders, but the walls of the cylinders looked quite good. Well, what do you know? An M60 that hasn't eaten itself to pieces from sulfur. And guess what? I actually called BMW and confirmed this is the original M60 B30 that was in this car since 1995. So, now that we got that out of the way, allons-y! Okay, step 1. Power steering drain bolt. Now we turn the wheel lock to make it puke some more. 24mm hex. Here comes the banjo. All right, now we're going to remove the reservoir on top and these lines going down. Let's go, Mr. Stubby. Oh yeah, here we go. All right, now I'm going to take off the fan clutch so that I can get better access to remove one of those power steering lines. There it goes. Ooh, gotcha. Out you come. Oh yeah, smashed to bits. Life easier, we're going to remove the intake boot. Okay, now we're getting some room for activities. Okay, next up we're going to remove the belt so we can remove the alternator to get one of those lines out. Come on, belty. Out you come. That is what a worn, cracked belt looks like. That pulley's shot. That pulley's shot. Okay, the next part of our jigsaw puzzle is there are 2 screws, one down there and one over here that holds the old oil filter housing in place. We're going to move that out of the way so that we can get to one of those power steering lines that kind of snakes down here and between and down under the engine. Did I mention I should have taken off the hood? No? Well, I should have. Next up, we're going to drain the radiator down here. Okay, now that that's drained, I'm going to take off this upper coolant hose here. Good, there goes more coolant. Okay, now for the lower drain hose. And I'm also going to take out the rad while I'm at it because it's going to get me better access to those power steering lines over there in the corner. All right, now that we have proper room for activities, out comes the rad. Okay, now I'm going to take off the alternator cooling hose. Now it's time for the alternator to come out. See that bolt in there? That's the son of a bitch we're trying to get to. And now that the alternator is slightly out of the way, I'm going to try and get a swivel ratchet on there and see if I can bust that loose and take out this power steering line. Yes, out you come. There is the culprit. I had to snake him out from underneath, the bastard. 94 date, so original, 27 years old. All right, so here's the disgustingness that's basically left over. There's just this hose here that I'm gonna take off this crimp over here, and clearly that's where it was leaking, and then kind of all going down there. I'm not going to replace this guy. It is not leaking. Or any of the lines going down to the actual steering box. Those all appear to be fine. Thank God, because this is kind of messy as it is. Split U open. There's the bugger. Okay, so the last piece of the power steering leaking puzzle is here. As you can see, there's two hard lines with a 3-inch rubber connector on either side. So apparently I either need to take off this brake booster, which I have no intention of doing, or I can attempt to get through it by taking out the headlight or the hood. I'm going to start by removing the headlight bulb wires over here, and then I'm going to remove the front grille. Okay, so a little trick that nobody on YouTube has yet done on an E34 is the manual says there is a little hole here right at the edge of the radiator support, and what you're meant to do is stick a 10-inch long screwdriver into that hole. It presses down on the little clip here, and then you pry this off gently that way, and that releases the bottom. Literally nobody on YouTube has yet figured this out. Everyone is just saying put here, crank, and hope for the best. But here's the actual proper way to do it. And there she comes. And now the other light. So for me to realistically fix these hoses down here somewhere under the brake booster system, I need to get the hood out of the way. And clearly I've been putting this job off for way too long because I should have done this from the beginning, but lesson learned, let's get rid of this big giant slab of metal that's getting in my way. All right, first we're gonna get rid of the 75 rivets that are on here. Peely peely. No, there's nothing there. It's just a hood. You know, you'd think there'd be gold or money or a bunch of drugs back there, but real life doesn't work that way. I think she's starting to go. Oh, there you go. Whew, completely broke that one. Okay. We've got the hood struts out of the way. I've expertly placed a broom handle to hold the hood gingerly in place. Now it's time to phone a friend. Yeah, hey, listen, get in here, I need a hand. It's freezing in here. How do you work like this? Here we go. Hey, cool car. Hey, what does that part do? Yes, that's the engine. Now focus, okay? I need you to hold the hood up while I unbolt these hood hinges down here. Can I have some gloves? Hood looks kind of dirty. Yes, Karen, here. Ooh, so that's what these feel like. Jesus Christ. Okay, pay attention. If you drop this thing, it's totally coming out of your bonus. Whoa, whoa, I'm not touching anything till I sign a waiver of liability. Alright, that's it. Get out. You're fired. Fine by me. See you in court. What a capitalist. Looks like I gotta do it all myself. And we have liftoff. Gently. Whew, actually, that wasn't that bad. Here's where the hood's new home is for the time being. And feast your eyes.
Activities! Two-step class. It's making my head spin how many activities we can do.
As you can see from this engine bay, it's just looking disgusting. And I cannot in good conscience continue working on this thing without at least getting rid of some of this dust. I mean, look at this. You don't even know what's what over here. It's just covered in brown, dusty garbage. First things first, make sure any electrical connectors are covered off and taped off. Close up the intake manifold here and anything else that's going to, get water or chemicals inside. So let's do that first. My cleaning arsenal consists of vacuuming, all-purpose cleaner, followed by degreaser, followed by brake cleaner if necessary, and then an assortment of brushes, microfiber towels, and then air compressor to blow it all away. And I almost forgot the steamer. Take off those rubber trim along the edges. We can carry on. Now that this is looking more or less respectful, time to address those leaky valve covers. Off the cover. Wunderbar. None of them broke. Now we gently pry. Needs a little encouragement below. Reassuring sound of plastic failing. We are out. We can see the top end actually looks pretty clean in here. Right down there, that's where there was an oil leak dripping onto the exhaust manifold exactly from the corner of this valve cover gasket. No bueno. Over here we can see the timing chain guide right there underneath that timing chain. Looks pretty good and intact. That's one of those key issues on the M60 and any BMW V8 that you always got to look out for is those chain guides cracking and failing over time. By the way, I can't see any signs of RTV on the half moons here. So that's usually not a good sign because usually that is where you're meant to put extra RTV so that you get a better seal. And of course they didn't, and hence it was leaking out of this very corner. Duh. Enter the fresh pair of gaskets. Nicely buttoned up, good to go. But first some cleaning is in order. Everyone loves a clean surface when mating. Now it's time to apply some RTV. Make sure you get the stuff that is high temperature and oil resistant. And the two areas you need to focus on is here by the chains, one at the top and one at the bottom. I'm just going to apply a thin little layer. And then the other spots are right on the corners of these half moons at the back here. just on the corner. Now because I'm slow and this was open for days, well, covered under this piece of paper, I'm gonna pour some oil for the homies. Valve cover's going back in. Definitely want to check that the half moons are nicely seated at the back. And you want to start from the middle and work your way out. Always hand tighten these first. 10 Newton meters is the number. Clean covers back on. Perfect. One side done. Alright, it's finally time to vanquish the last of the two leaky Mohicans. Let's get to work. Sir, you're about to see nothing. I have extricated the offender, all 2 inches of him. There you go. If anybody tells me how much they love the steering feel of an old BMW, I'm going to tell them, do you realize the price that you pay for having that wonderful steering wheel? Look at how close they are. Why couldn't you just make them connected, BMW? What is wrong with you? Alright, so to remove some of this crap getting in the way here, the best way to take it off is actually from going underneath and taking out the fog light of all things. Yep, that's right. More stuff is coming off. Well, I'll be damned. This thing's got a projector fog light. How cool is that? It's not working, obviously. Okay, now I can access the bolt that holds these 2 hard lines down here, and that'll hopefully give us enough wiggle room to slide in the new ones, and Bob's your uncle. The way we're going to get it loose is there's a screw here. I'm going to loose this guy up, and then we'll be able to wiggle them out of the way and slip on the new rubber tubes. Some new high pressure and low pressure lines, as well as the power steering reservoir, a bunch of crush washers, crimps, clamps, and fluid, obviously. All right, first we've got to cut this down to size. And we're going to need 2 of these guys. Wunderbar. Now you want to use one of these flat edge kind of crimping tools to squeeze those tabs tight, because again, if this son of a bitch leaks, the whole thing is pretty pointless. That one is nice and tight. Okay, now that you've squeezed the bejesus out of it, your job is hopefully done. Cleaned up as much as I could over here. Well, it's looking at least a little bit more respectable. Time to button everything back up over here. I call this move the reach around. Nice. Time to stick the new hose where the sun don't shine. Godspeed, little buddy. Time to cut off the condom. Slide the banjo. 2 new washers. We're going to torque this guy at the end. Make sure we clean the surface. Drain plug has a rubber O-ring. Make sure you push it in all the way to the bottom. And that's the bottom of the power steering pump done. Time to put back the alternator and the oil filter bracket. Moving back up top, we got to get the line to go on this end here up to the reservoir. So we're going to measure that out first. Just as we're about to finish, my camera died. So unfortunately all I did was add in this soft line here, buttoned up these crimps over here on a new reservoir, of course. The M60 uses the CHF 11S Pentosyn green power steering fluid. Make sure you check your manual and you're using the right stuff. This is a liter. This system takes 1.2 liters. So we're going to fill it up to the top. Then once we start the engine, we're going to add in some more. And you want to go slow so as to reduce the odds of getting air bubbles in here. I'm going to close this up, and once we start the engine, we'll top it up some more. Well, they say the sign of a job well done is having whatever you're fixing spilled all over you. And judging by the oil, power steering fluid, and coolant all over me, I'd say job well done. I want to thank you all for watching and coming along on this journey with me. Please comment, let me know if you're enjoying the series, like, subscribe. It all helps the channel grow. In the next episode, I'm going to do the complete cooling system refresh, belts, pulleys, fix the broken heater, and get the engine up and running again. Thank you all for watching. I'm going to take a much needed shower and give this thing a wash. I think I gave it a pretty solid run for its money. Until next time,